So absolutely we need to cap it. Unfortunately, apparently there are too many holes because they have overextended spending, and so we do it to ourselves. Let's put the cap in place, and what would I reduce it down to? I would reduce it down to a variable that is in accordance with the money we have, but don't spend money we don't have, a variable. And those programs that have been expanded, you know, the more programs we have, the more constituents we have, and we just need to look into that and just put some limits and caps on that and streamline. And I'm all about efficiencies with all the reducing budgets I've been a part of as military, and still having to be mission success. So I say yes, cap, we got a bloated budget, and we need to PFD, right? They reached over in our pockets, grabbed the PFD because of the can't manage the budget. Prioritize, be fiscally responsible, and D, don't spend money you don't have. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Edie Grunwald. Sharon Jackson, the same question for you, ma'am. Would you like me to restate the question?
No, thank you. I think that we need to have a cap. We need to respect that cap and live within the means of that cap. I've heard holes in the spending. I think the holes is waste. We need to cut the waste. There's a lot. This state is full of wonderful resources. We are a rich state, and we need to live according to our means. We can do that at the same time making sure the well-being of the residents of Alaska are taken care of.
Thank you very much, Sharon Jackson. I believe last time we started with Byron Malott for the question, but this time we're going to let Ryan McKee decide whether it's a yes or no question.
Let's do this last one, save the best for last. So candidates, do you support ballot measure 1, yes or no? Thank you. Yeah, this is a stand for salmon in ballot measure 1. Do you support it, yes or no?
See, it's so confusing.
You're not being clear.
Stand for Alaska?
The ballot measure 1,
Yes.
are you a yes vote or a no vote? Do you support it or do you oppose it?
I will stand for Alaska to be there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, candidates.
That was nice of her to help.
We do have one more scripted question. I believe we started with Byron Malott last time, so we'll start with Kevin Meyer if he has the microphone. There we are, sir. Kevin Meyer, is a constitutional convention needed, and will you lead an effort to establish such a convention?
Well, thank you. That's a hard question, and actually it's the first time that's come up during our debate, our forums. Our Constitution is pretty good, frankly, and I don't know that we need to change it too much. There are some things, though, that I would like to see in the Constitution. I mentioned one is a spending limit to box in the legislature from overspending. But that's something that we, the legislature, should and could do. If we can't, then yeah, maybe we do need to have a constitutional convention. I believe it's every 10 years you have that option. And there may be some other things that come up in the next 2 years that do require us to revisit in our Constitution. But for the most part, I think our Constitution was pretty well done and pretty solid. And other than trying to limit the spending and which would also include the PFD, I don't know that we need to make a whole lot of changes to the Constitution.
Thank you, Kevin Meyer. Next, Stephen Wright. Mr. Wright, is a constitutional convention needed, and will you lead an effort to establish the convention?
Yeah, I do believe we need a constitutional convention, but the Constitution, as long as it's for maximum benefit of the people of Alaska, then yes, I am for it. The initiatives, I guess, we need to look at is, of course, we have to cut spending. We have to be able to look at the initiatives that help the state. And as far as the Constitution goes, I think I believe it's something that if you read the Constitution, it's pretty straightforward. We just have to stop creating all these little, like, for example, stand for Alaska, stand for salmon. They have all these things that are so confusing. We need to make sure that it's understandable and not in lawyer talk. So that's something I would do, is make sure that it's in a plain language that can be easily understood and that it can't be changed, or like what happened to our dividend. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen Wright. Now, Deborah Call, the same question for you, ma'am. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure, why not?
Deborah Call, is a constitutional convention needed, and will you lead the effort to establish such a convention?
I think that the Constitution is solid. However, one of the things I think that we've talked about and have experienced this past year is we need to protect the permanent fund. And one of the ways that you can do that is put it in the Constitution that it will be protected and sustained for beyond our lifetimes to our children and our grandchildren. There are ways right now that it can be tapped in terms of the earnings, and the fund is doing well, but I believe in the Constitution it will secure it for the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Deborah Call. Lynn Dennis, the same question for you, ma'am. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I think I got it. And really, it's in regards to a constitutional convention that happens every 10 years. Not what we could or should put in the Constitution. And there's some things that, I've heard that, I too think that when we enshrine it with the Constitution, which we don't have to have a convention to do, the PFD could be enshrined, and we don't have to open up a constitutional convention. One of my concerns has always been, unless there's a need to have a constitutional convention, to open up Pandora's box and go through the whole darn thing is pretty darn spooky. So I think at this time, we don't need a constitutional.
By action of the Alaska legislature, putting a question before the people of the state. The Constitution has been amended multiple times in the 50-plus years of statehood. I believe, without question, that it works. I see no need for a constitutional convention.
Thank you very much, Byron Malott. We're now going to move into 1-minute closing statements, and we're going to start with Stephen Wright. Mr. Wright.
Okay, I'm Steve Wright from Wasilla, Alaska. And in closing, I believe that it's important that we keep the formula of the dividend as it was intended to be at a 50-50 split. If you look at the earnings on the fund, it's available for government to spend already. They don't need this SB 26 or percent of market value. I understand that it's inflation proofing to some extent. However, we should not just inflation proof our half of the dividend. It should be the whole dividend if you're going to inflation proof. So I think that this is a very important thing for the people, and one of the big things we want to see happen is we want to abolish abortion in Alaska. I think that's an important thing, something that we need to look at, protecting our children and protecting the rights of the people. I think it's also important that we work together to do the things that are in the best interest of the people of Alaska. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen Wright. Deborah Call, your 1-minute closing statement.
Thank you. I am from this area. This is my home. And I have a background experience, executive management experience in for-profit, nonprofit, and in rural economic development throughout Alaska. I've helped start small businesses and villages and fisheries in Port Graham. And my focus is on certainly rural economic development, where our resources are at.
Yes, my name is Lynn Gaddis, and I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. As a lifelong Alaskan, I think it's really important to put Alaska on the right track. I own my own businesses. I've signed the front of a paycheck. I think it's real important that business be part of the process for the state of Alaska. Many small businesses in this room understand what it takes. I want folks, when you go to the ballot, remember, when you pull that ballot, remember LG for LG. That was
33 years, and you're probably thinking, how did I do that? I've been in the military 31 years. Well, I got, I also in Air Force Base, active duty. My first choice assignment You won't hear that from very many people. Worked my way up to be a colonel, retired September 2015. I've managed big budgets. Like I said, I've been a commander, director. I'm here for the people. I want to work hard for you to get a hold of this crime, get a hold of the budget, get a hold of the economy, and
Us here today. I am Sharon Jackson, and Alaska have brighter days to come. It may be raining now, but you know what? Together, we can become number one in our education. We can be number one in our safety. And I believe together with all hands on deck, we can do that. Sharon Jackson.